What is up, guys? Mcdoubles back giving the brand new video. Today I just want to quickly talk about a brand new server coming out in only a couple months called Project, I believe Deus is how you say it, and it is another classless World of Warcraft server. Now, I've seen a lot on this server so far. I talked to Zek, just some DMs on Discord, and everything he showed me about this server made it look almost too good to be true, if I'm honest. And I'm impressed, what can I say? So I do want to talk about it today. I want to show it to you guys, all the info that we know about it, give my take on it, and let you know that, yeah, I'm going to be trying it, but I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below, so let me know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's jump right in. Alright, so I've been kind of on the fence about talking about this for a little bit, and I will say it's for a couple reasons. Number one, I didn't know if the people making the server even wanted it to be out there the way that I would make it out there. Number two, I'm still iffy on whether or not it's even going to come out, and actually there is a number three, and that is that, what if it feels more like Revelation WoW, more like Vanilla Plus? We all know the feelings, right? We all were there, most of us, right? Or is it going to feel more like Turtle WoW and more like Project Ascension? There is a fundamental difference in the feeling of the server. One of them feels, well, incomplete maybe, but also a little shady. The other one feels like they somehow cracked their way into the realm of feeling like a normal game, even though it's a private server, and we all know it, but it doesn't feel like it. That's a big deal. To nail that feeling as a private server is very difficult. It's not common, and that's the one thing that I have on my mind really at the height of it all. It's like, is it going to feel shady? Is it going to be full of extra degens, you know? Is it going to have a community that's like extra hella degen? Like, we all know, when I go and read over some of the stuff that this server is going to focus on, in your mind, you're going to think it's going to be full of degens. Let's just be real. However, that absolutely does not mean it's not going to be fun, it's not going to be good, but I do feel like it would be disingenuous in some ways to just not start off with some of those negatives almost, like those doubts, I guess you could say, about how the server could possibly be. But today, my friends, what I'd like to do very quickly is just talk a little bit about Project Deus, I believe that's how you say it, although I called it Project Deus, Project Douche, Project Deus. And here's the thing, there is a Reddit post I want to go over real quick, because as far as I can tell, this is extremely public info. We're also going to go to the website, take a little bit of a look at that, and I'll give you guys my take on it so far. So first of all, let's start off with the elephant in the room. What even am I talking about? Project Deus, here's what it is. It is a classless World of Warcraft realm. That means it's going to be like Project Ascension, but they're doing their own take on it. It's going to take place in Cataclysm, whereas Ascension takes place on a Wrath 3.3.5 client, and not only that, but it's supposed to be coming out, early access is what they say, on February 10th, 2023, which is only a month and a half away, you could say. And I think that that's what makes it the most hype, to be honest with you, because it's something in my mind, and I'm sure on your minds as well, that you can say to yourself, well, at least I have something to look forward to now at the beginning of the year. I like that. So let's read about it real quick. He says, who else is hyped for Project Deus? And of course, zero. Just think that's funny. Nobody's positive, by the way, unless you're getting bots to upvote you on this Reddit. Everyone knows, by the way. Anyway, from what I've read, it will be a worthy classless competitor to Ascension WoW. We will see. But on the basis of Cataclysm, as I said, and it will focus on PvP. Now, this is going to scare people. But even though it says it focuses on PvP, I want to make it very clear right now. As far as I can tell, especially based on what Zek is talking about, and Warlord Zek, he was in the private server scene more aptly in the past 2-3 plus years ago, still occasionally does some stuff here and there in terms of social media. I'm talking about like his YouTube channel or something like that, but he's been working on this server behind the scenes. But from what I can see, there is going to be PvE, there is going to be the standard progression. I believe it will be starting in vanilla, Cataclysm client, but starting in vanilla, and that's how I think it's going to happen. So you're still going to raid Molten Core as far as I can tell. You're still going to go up to Onyxia, have the ZG before that rather, go into eventually, you know, AQ, into Nax, whatever. That's how I'm assuming it's going to happen, into TBC, into Wrath, potentially then also into Cataclysm, which I think would be really cool. Like, nobody else does Cataclysm. It's almost a shame it's going to take so long, but also the Wrath part of it, that's cool as well. Kind of wish you could skip TBC. But yeah, I do want to put that out there. Even though this guy says, and I'm pretty sure that Zek might actually agree that this is more PvP focused, which, you know, is kind of cool to me, to be honest with you, because they're talking high risk, more on that in a moment. It is still going to be a normal World of Warcraft server that has PvE. So if you like to do your raiding and your dungeon progression and all that, I believe Mythics will be in this, so that's something to keep in mind. But yes, there is going to be a hyper-focus, one could just say, on PvP. But here's more of what this guy says. It will release on February 10th, 2023, and it features amazing stuff. He goes down to say, custom mounts, transmogs, and toys. That's cool, mostly shop stuff. High-risk zones scattered around the world for free-for-all PvP, and even hardcore versions of free-for-all PvP where you can lose gear and gold on death. So, they are literally importing the high-risk system from Ascension, except they are going with a more RuneScape approach. It took a while to get Ascension to the point where they finally designed this concept of tier zones, right? It came from an earlier iteration of an idea that I had, where we would just make it to where certain people can only fight other people of similar item level, where they couldn't really do that, I guess, with the code or whatever. I'm not a coder, couldn't tell you. But what they could do is make it to where certain zones have less risk. So if you're in a tier 1 zone, you don't drop anything you have on. So naturally, people with less gear are going to congregate in lower tier zones because they have a higher chance of winning, or if they lose, it doesn't matter. Whereas people with more gear will congregate in the higher tier zones because they have a lower chance of dying to somebody, and if they do encounter somebody, they could kill them and take their stuff. But therefore, you also have somebody to go for in the higher tier zones as well. Can you kill the guy with the fat loot and take all his stuff? We'll see. Or will you get one shot? Well, yeah, normally, but hey, it's a risk, and that's the point. They're kind of basing it more around this concept of the wilderness, and I will just show you the map because I believe it's on their website as well, so you could see where tier 3, 2, and 1 zones are supposed to be, and it's based on logic, right? So it's like if it's a newbie area, you're okay. If it's a high-level place, though, prepare to fight, and that's going to be pretty fun. Let's just keep going down the list. Newly added abilities and spells, balanced for the sole purpose of expanding the PvP meta. That's cool. Don't know what that's going to be, though. Cross-faction guilds, always good. They don't actually have this in Ascension, so all you Alliance people, probably like 1,000 people, have been like, hey, I want to join your guild, but I want to play a gnome. And I'm like, bro, don't worry, Season 9, I've got you, but for Season 8, I'm Horde, I can't invite you. So we'll be able to fix that. We'll have a guild on the server. Pickable Racials! Pickable Racials is damn good, that's a freaking amazing design. You ever wanted to play whatever the hell you want, but you can't because the human racial's OP in your expansion, or whatever, well, hey, it doesn't matter now. Be whatever you want. Be a female dwarf, because it doesn't matter. They're gonna have a blackjack minigame to play against other players for gold. I'm kind of a sucker for this type of stuff. I like minigames. I am the type of guy, because especially I do so much work on these games, where at some point it becomes 12 o'clock at night. I have nothing I can go do in real life, so I just want to chill on the game, but I don't really want to work. I don't really want to raid or anything, or do a dungeon, or even actually try. My brain is mush, but I could play some blackjack during that time. I've been known in my raids to just occasionally death roll people, and it's just fun. It's not like crazy gambler status, but it's fun, so I'll take it. Gold arenas, by the way, same concept, where you can bet gold on the outcome of a match. Zach described this to me as literally adding the dual arena from RuneScape into World of Warcraft, and I think it's going to quite literally be the Gurubashi arena, but he says gold arenas here, so perhaps there's going to be more than one type, but the idea is that 2 people duel, and you place a bet on who's going to win. Now, you could say that these could be fixed and people could forfeit, but at that point, what's the difference between just giving somebody the gold? Because it's not generating gold, you're putting your gold into something. So you're gonna have to really trust these people. You bet all your gold on one guy, he gets paid off and loses on purpose, you lose everything. You know what I'm trying to say? But who knows? It's gonna add community to it. That could be pretty cool. Harder leveling and improved dungeons. There you go for my PvEers, including me right now, by the way. So that's good to know. No pay to win. I also assume no convenience, but I think there's no XP pots and XPRs. So he's really a player. That's the cool thing about this server. And then lastly, though, no soulbound. I don't think there's going to be Bloodforged. I don't like the Bloodforged system. I think when the Bloodforged system first came out, it made sense. But I don't know when it changed. Maybe I just didn't know as much about it. But as far as I can tell now, there's too much of an emphasis on gear for PvP on Project Ascension. But I like this. If there's no Bloodforged, that's an even bigger plus. So these are some things this guy lays out. That looks pretty cool. But anyway, this is the website, World of Warcraft without restrictions, a progressive server, starting off during the humble beginnings of vanilla. There you go, going all the way to the scorched world of Cataclysm. Now, on Project Deus, they are really going to try to focus on the economy. One of the ways he's doing this is trying to make professions more important, so there's some things about Dark Iron Ore being reserved to just one zone, a lot of stuff with Nexus crystals. So they're supposed to be a big part of the economy, so what they did is they removed the ability to get them from disenchanting blues, so they only come from epics as far as I can see, and then they're trying to use this as an item sink as well. So people are actually going to want Nexus crystals, and so people are going to get rid of a lot of purples, right? Now, to further improve the item sync, as I said, they're going to remove the epic status of a lot of garbage epics so that people don't just farm, Helm of Narv or vendor strike, and you know, just use that to get them the best crap in the game. It actually means you have to use it on some good stuff sometimes, and that means you don't just sell that stuff, because remember, you can sell all the items now. So now disenchanting those items is a bigger deal if it's an epic, when you could have made money on it instead. So there needs to be a bit of give and take there, and so this is their way of trying to create a genuine economy. I like the idea a lot. They also said glyphs are not obtained by inscription. They deleted that profession. Instead, they're only sold for Nexus crystals. And so this is just another way for Nexus crystals to have some use, and some important use at that. Okay, so he sent me more messages about the wilderness stuff. He said dark iron deposits for dark iron ore, as I said, has been removed from Searing Gorge and Blackrock depths, making Burning Steps the only place to get it. That's interesting. Burning Steps is actually also one of the tier 3 loot drop on death zones, so that's one we didn't mention before. They said this is to attract people to go into Burning Steps, as that's a zone where gear is dropped upon death, and to make the ore more valuable. As I've alluded to before, we've buffed a lot of pre-raid and post-MC items for both blacksmithing and jewel crafting to make some of the best melee weapons, plate gear, rings, and trinkets to be crafted using those mats. They've added some more like items you have to farm out in the world for things like leatherworking. They have 3 new cloaks in the game. You have to get larval acid, and only drops from maggots and eastern plague lands, which is a wilderness zone. The cloaks also need arctic fur, which only drops from fur bulgs and yetis in winter spring, another wilderness zone. More reasons to go out there farming mobs for items. That's been something I've recommended on Ascension before. They removed golden pearls from all the loot tables and from all the clams, and they added them to the loot table of the demons south of Blasted Lands, around the area where Kazakh is, and this is because they're required for enchants like plus 30 spell power. So now they've created another hot spot to farm those enchants. You know you're gonna get these, right? You just gotta go kill those demons. That's big, dude. Same thing for righteous orbs apparently as well. They removed the loot table in Strat and added it to mobs inside Tyr's Hand to make that a hot spot for farming Crusader. So this one probably makes more sense to people right off the bat, especially if you played in vanilla. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not actually getting righteous orbs from dungeons now. I'm only getting it if I farm mobs in Tyr's Hand, and that's going to be in high risk. That's insanely cool. People typically don't really care if they die in PvP if they have a bunch of trashed gear on and they get to farm. I bet you there's going to be something buggy about this too, where you could just put, you know, one item in every slot of your bag. So instead of losing a stack, you'll just lose like 3 of them, right? And that's going to probably be a bit of a strategy there to try to get away with not losing all the crap you farm. But quite frankly, like, people could possibly make more money than they lose if they die, and that's the enticement there. That's good design. I like that. I don't know if I would completely take certain things away from dungeons, for example, though. Like, for example, with the righteous orb, I would still have left them in the dungeon, but maybe reduce the drop rate. I wouldn't have messed with the dungeon one, because PvEers, you're gonna, you know, isolate them a bit, but reducing the drop chance is fair, so that it's more of a risk that you actually want to take to go to Tyr's Hand, but you can still get them if you absolutely don't want to. With those people, they should have a bit of a say too. Now, they said they made similar changes to alchemy. The alchemy table required to craft flasks is now in Stratholme and in the Eastern Plaguelands, forcing players to enter this zone to craft the flasks they need. I like the idea of having to go out into the open world, get people out of the capital cities. It is going to be vanilla, even though it's going to be in the Cataclysm world, but this is good to make it still feel like vanilla, which, remember, is about the journey. And in classless high-risk PvP, you know, you're battling all along the way, picking new abilities and stuff. That's a big part of it, but I think they want max level to be actually supported, and that's where a lot of this is coming from. It's possible max level is actually fun, guys. For PvP, that is. Ascension does it good for PvE. Now, I like this as well. I like the idea of professions being good, so that's why I like all of these changes. They say leatherworking has been a pretty bad profession, so to promote this, they've added leg enchants from TBC, but cut their stats in half. So that's pretty fair, I think. So not only can you craft these and also create cloaks like he mentioned before, like the new ones, but every single tier from Molten Core to Nax will always need to seek out a leather worker to enchant all the pants they acquire, and that's great. So every single profession has something to go for that's going to make them money, that has a reason for you to say, well, I want leatherworking because it's cool and matches my class. Maybe I can get some gear early on with it or something, and not just because leatherworking is automatically better than all the other ones in every way. You know, I mean, sure, some will have like more money to them than others, but there's actual reasons to do them all in pretty significant ways, and I like that. They also added goblin gliders, bro. Oh, I love Goblin Gliders so dang much. So it's going to be an interesting, fast game. It's going to be a very big feeling game. Cataclysm's world was still big, and I don't think we're going to be able to fly, but that's actually an option because it's in Cataclysm. Let's never forget that. But Goblin Gliders basically might as well be it. It's such a fun aspect of the game. Now, if Zek could add the fart toy to the game, I would be complete. But anyway, I digress. A lot of really good profession changes here in that PvP high-risk kind of element that we've never ever seen before in the classless format, right? Of course, Ascension is the only real example there. So, this is really big, and I think it's really worth looking at. Again, you don't have to participate, but what I like about this, because you could stay in, let's say, the protected zones. But here's what I like about this, is that there's one server, and this is what it's going to be. You're going to PvP. You're not going to split up the server. Gold Duel Arena, by the way. I mentioned this, but it even looks like the RuneScape one in this picture right here, so we'll see what happens. And then Blackjack System, and look, you can even see the little Warlord Zek character. He added the custom cards, bro. I'll actually show you more of that because I think it won't matter since it's on the website. That's freaking amazing. So you can join their Discord. I'll put the Discord in the description below. You can also go to the website. I'll put that in the description below, but right now the website's only what I just showed you guys as it's still in development, as I said. Let me get to some of the stuff Warlord Zek showed me, stuff that is already on the website and already publicly available on the Reddit, so that I can show you some actual stuff that the server is going to have. So, okay, let's start with the blackjack thing. I personally picture this like you go to the inn in some city wherever this can be played, and you sit down and you play blackjack. I mean, we all wish it could be like Hearthstone, but that's far too complex. This is still pretty fun, and I just like the concept, and I hope that's not the only thing. Personally, I'm a big fan of some chess or some checkers, even if you got to do it simple, you know. I like something like that because, you know what, that could be a fun thing to do to make the game actually feel like a world, you know. It's actually a big miss of the original World of Warcraft if you think about it. Here's that map once again, my friends. So this is going to be interesting. We have Winter Spring up here as a wilderness bit of territory. Items from equipment and inventory dropped on death. We also have the Eastern Plague Lands right there. And then we have this. This is not a zone almost anybody ever goes in until TBC at all, and that's going to be the Blasted Lands, right? Now, I see some black zones, and I don't know what this means. Unavailable, locked current phase. So I guess we won't be able to go to Hyjal, obviously, or Uldum. We have the Draenei stuff. Okay, so the yellow, though, contested territory, free-for-all PvP, which means you can attack your own faction. That means if you had high-risk mode on Ascension from level 1, that's what this would be the equivalent of. So right off the bat, just with the way this world looks, I'm actually pretty excited for it. That looks pretty cool. Let me know in the comment section below, by the way, what you guys think so far. And dude, I'll just show you this because come on. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to show anything else, but look at, come on. He has a McRooster. This is going to be my signature mount, to be real with you. It's just, come on. It's amazing, dude. It's actually amazing. So there's going to be a lot of awesome stuff. That's obviously an example of the custom mounts, and that's going to be super fun. Now, this is actually a pretty big sneak peek as well, but they're going to embrace the Glyph system, and that's how you're going to get your unique stuff, kind of like Ascension's current Random Enchant system. They're not doing the same Random Enchant system, right? They are going to do something where you random, let's say, certain stats on your gear, and it's not going to be that big of a difference if somebody has crazy good stats or somebody doesn't. It's going to be like maybe +3 agi on your gloves or something like that versus another guy, and he got +5 stam. Well, you know, it might make a difference. You might lose the fight by 50 HP, but at the same time, you probably won't. But they're still going to have this special kind of, you know, what is currently the Random Enchant system on Ascension on Project Deus. So it's just going to be with the Glyph system, and you're going to have to pick different glyphs to customize your custom class. Also, we're getting some sneak peeks right here, my friends. Look at this. Viciousness, Heroic Presence, Devoodoo Shuffle. This is going to be you picking your racials, right? So I'm not showing anything that's really that deep because we all know what the racials are. Gift of the Naru, Arcane Torrent. You could pick a freaking Silence. Dark Flight, the Worgen one, Rocket Barrage, man, Rocket Drum. Time is money, bro. Like, this is going to be so fun just thinking about, like, what I want to pick for my guy. Range spec, mace spec, axe spec, short blade spec. I guess that's like swords and daggers, right? I have not seen a lot of info on the server out there, like nothing, right? Project Deus, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of it. I just wanted to talk about it because I do think we're going to try it as soon as it comes out, and I don't want anybody to be surprised. Of course, I love Ascension. I want them to do good at all times. Competition's a healthy thing, though, and you know what? This could flop, or it could be amazing, but we won't know unless we try. Let me know in the comments if you'll actually give it a try as well, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Mcdoubles out.